with Morning Infusion with Dr. V podcast, where we are intentional about teaching nurses how to work from anywhere around the world, making money and owning your own time, building profitable nurse coaching and consulting businesses. You will hear from amazing guests that have grown their companies and want to share insight into how you can do the same to change the face of healthcare as we know it. If you want to grow your businesses and leverage your knowledge as a nurse to grow wildly successful businesses at the top, instead of working your way to the top, head on over and join our Millionaire Nurse CEO group on Facebook, where you can ask questions and get updates on our live and virtual events to help you grow your businesses. Good morning, everyone. So this morning I have the phenomenal Quisha Umemba. I got it right?
You got it right. You got it right.
Absolutely phenomenal person. So Quisha, if I were to tell us a little bit about you. Tell the audience who you are.
Well, first of all, good morning. Thank you for having me on the Morning Infusion. As I was listening to your intro, I literally got infused because I'm like, oh, this is really an early morning show. She was not kidding about being on at 6:20. But anyway, so happy to be here. So happy to share a little bit about my background, and hopefully my voice will be able to cooperate for the next 30 minutes or so. I'm Quisha Umemba. I'm located in the Dallas, Texas area. And I like to say I'm an unconventional nurse. So I am a registered nurse by trade. I took a different kind of trajectory, got a master's in public health, and became the nurse that got bit by the public health bug. I am the CEO and founder of Umemba Health, which is a public health workforce development training and consulting agency, where our mission is to transform public health through comprehensive workforce development. I am also the owner of a personal brand, Quisha Umemba Consulting, where I teach helping professionals how to build, launch, and scale profitable public health consulting businesses, just like I did. And I probably could use 100,000 other words to describe myself. But I think your listeners and viewers will figure out more about me as we go through the interview this morning.
I love it. Okay, so now tell me a little bit about, because we always go back. First of all, I want to say if everyone could like, share this podcast, it costs you nothing to like and share this
That's
podcast.
right. That's
Okay,
right.
so just if y'all could do that, that would be great in order to get the word out. So, Quisha, tell me a little bit about why you even became a nurse.
Why I even became a nurse? Originally I wanted to be a doctor. So I grew up in that era when what was it, CSI and all those forensic shows were really huge. I love anything blood, gore, and guts. I loved, I had no problem working with in hospice care or with bodies. And so originally I wanted to be a forensic examiner. I was going to be a medical examiner. That was ultimately my goal. And then I married young and had my first child young, so what, 19 and 20 respectively. I did not take the traditional path of going straight to college. And so when I did go back into school, I started out with a medical assisting program. It was a 10-month program. I ended up graduating valedictorian, and it was one of my instructors, which is why I love instructors. I have a heart for instructors. One of my instructors that said, Quisha, you really should continue on with your education. You really should look into nursing school. And so the very next semester, I enrolled into our a local college to get my prerequisites, started nursing, and I thought, this is it. I'm so glad I didn't go to medical school because nursing is just different, right? It's an art and science to it, but it's more personal, it's more approachable, and so that's initial trajectory. And I think most nurses are kind of like that. We start off wanting to be doctors, and then for whatever reason, we end up going down the nursing path. And it's a path that I recommend to others because from nursing, you can do so much with it. Now, I have not been clinical in some while, probably close to a decade now. I have not been clinical or touched a patient. So I always tell my friends and family, look, when y'all call me, I'm going to Google it just like y'all. I am a Google nurse, right? I'm still licensed, I'm still registered, but I am a Google nurse. But that's originally why I decided to go into nursing.
I love it. I love it. I'm a Google nurse. Yes, that is. Listen, once you're done, you're done. All right, you're done. So so let's talk about what initially happened once you got out of nursing school. You went to what did you initially work at?
As a nurse, I worked for 10 years at the Little Rock VA hospital. So, serving those who serve others, which actually is one of the biggest things I say in my business now. Absolutely love serving vets, love working at the VA hospital. And I worked everywhere from, I started out in surgical ICU, did that for a year, realized that I did not want to be where nurses ate their young. Surgeons don't have the best bedside practice, and really saw myself and my personality changing throughout the 12, 13 months that I was there. I left there and I went to kind of a progressive long term care. And there for about 3.5 years. And all this was nights. I spent like the first 5 years of nursing on the night shift and then decided I no longer wanted to be a vampire. I wanted to work, on Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, like normal people. Decided to go back and get my bachelor's. And after that, I applied for a job in endocrinology clinic, diabetes and endocrinology, actually. And that's where I fell in love with diabetes. About 80% of my patients in the clinic had diabetes. It was my first time really getting to understand the social determinants of health and how so much more than just coming to the doctor and taking your medication really ties into your health outcomes. And so, really got interested in health education, diabetes education, what that support looks like, helping patients to navigate those community services. And so it was actually my program director, our endocrinologist, that said, "Quisha, you should probably look into getting your master's in public health." And it tied in perfectly. I just set for the board, so I'm a certified diabetes care and education specialist. And then I started grad school and got my MPH, master's in public health, with an emphasis in health education and human behavior.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And so what drove that passion though? Like what drove the passion for public health?
Well,
It's
it's a couple.
usually I'm sorry.
No, no, go ahead. It's usually what?
Usually it's a story, right? It's a story. It may be several stories,
Yeah.
but usually it's a story that drove you to where you are.
That is so true. So, we during my bachelor's program, I took a community nursing class, and we were given an assignment to do a windshield assessment. And so, basically, you drive down, 2 mile radius, 3, 5 mile, whatever the assignment is, and you make note of everything that is a public health issue or public health concern. At the time, I was living in Arkansas. We were in a new home, new division, new subdivision, and I was noticing things like, oh, we don't have sidewalks yet. Oh, we don't have bus stops yet. There's no transportation. If you don't have a car out here, you're just stuck like Chuck. There were no grocery stores. There were so many things that you just really don't realize and think about unless someone asks you to take a magnifying glass and look at your neighborhood or look at your zip code or look at your surroundings. And that was really my first kind of real introduction to, oh, everything really has to do with public health. There were snakes everywhere because it was a bean field that they developed, new land on. And so we had critters and I had bug people and snake people coming out. There were dogs that were running off on leashes. There were so many different things. I never even imagined that those were public health issues until having to do that assignment. And so I knew kind of that interested me. And then when I got that encouragement from our doctor in the clinic, that's when I decided, you know what, I think this is going to marry perfectly with what I do with diabetes education and how I'm helping clients when most of the time their care is outside of the walls of the clinic, not when they're coming to see us 4 times a year.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So now tell me a little bit about when you decided that you wanted to be an entrepreneur. Or how did that even come about?
Yeah, how did that come about? Because when you're a nurse, I think for the most part, it doesn't even come to
Register.
your it doesn't register.
Right.
You go to a hospital or clinic or outpatient center or whatever, and you physically touch patients. For a majority of nurses, that's how we start, right? So it does not even register. However,
What
because I have my background, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Oh,
I was getting ready to say that. it was some, I don't want to say it was Tina Payne, she was here. She said that, nursing school kind of funnels you into the hospital. They kind of funnel you into these physician practices.
Mhm.
They don't really teach you how to become an entrepreneur. The reality of it is,
But
right?
you know what? I
What?
think they should. I think they
Oh,
should
absolutely.
yeah, they should funnel you there because I will say I use principles that I learned as a nurse that have helped me be successful in my business.
Oh, okay, I got you. That they
Yeah,
should.
absolutely. It's not it's now why, I coach people to become public health consultants and entrepreneurs. I won't coach a new grad. You cannot have just gotten out of school with your MPH and then come for me for coaching. You have to have some years of experience in public health under your belt. And that ties back into the question that you just asked me. Where did this idea come from? So I went to go work at the Houston Health Department, which is, I think, tied for third largest city with Chicago. It
Mhm.
goes between third and fourth. And so, first job straight out of grad school, had never did any kind of public health work before. And I was a chief nurse in the Office of Chronic Disease Prevention and Management. So I oversaw a couple of programs. One, of course, was the diabetes program, the colorectal cancer program. That was about 15 staff, several initiatives, 7 grants and budgets, and just many, many projects and programs and all of the things. And I got where I was really nimble, really creative, really adaptable, really flexible, going to meetings all the time, not getting any work done most of the time during the day because I'm in back-to-back meetings. So then I would go home, cook dinner, open up the laptop, and then write my grants, my technical reports, do all my all of my staff kind of communications and things like that. But I absolutely thrived. I loved it. I had my personal phone, I had my work phone, and I can clearly remember my younger sister saying, this is you. Like the 2 phones and you in the car and you're working everywhere that you go, like, everybody can't switch gears like that, but this is you. And I loved that position until it no longer loved me. I
Mm,
put in so many endless hours and time and sweat and literal tears. I was very much boots on the ground. I did a lot of community engagement. I did a lot of after hours and weekend work, and I did not feel appreciated by leadership. I did not feel like my program got, how can I put this in so many words? Um, got the respect. You know how we say put some respect on my name?
mhm.
I didn't feel like the program got the respect that it deserved when we were a top performing program for all of the years that I was there. And I did not even realize this until last year. I was talking to some former colleagues. I had 0% turnover in 4 years from
Wow.
my staff, which in the health department is unheard of
Right.
because I don't play about leadership. I don't play about my people, right? And so, I'm such a big proponent of this is what my community needs. This is what my team needs. That sometimes I will butt heads with higher ups because
Mhm.
I have to advocate for what they need. And so, 4 years into it, I just couldn't give anymore. I just couldn't. You can do a good job for so long, but when you start getting beat down and overlooked and everybody wants to have a little pat on the back. Way to go, good job, a little recognition. And I literally was like, I could probably do this on my own. I could probably do this for myself. Like I'm giving these people 60, 70 hours some weeks. I can probably do this for myself. And so I did attempt business. I attempted business a couple of times
Oh.
during my time there. First one failed. Didn't know enough. Didn't hire a coach. Just trying to do what I did at work. But you cannot be a CEO with an employee mindset. Okay.
Mm.
Second attempt was a
Say
partner.
You need to say that again. You cannot be a CEO with an employee mindset. You
With an
cannot.
employee mindset, you can't do it.
Mm-mm. Doesn't
And
work.
so that was the first attempt at business. And also, I had a poverty mindset as well. Um, I remember I had a WordPress website, and it took me a year to build. A year to build because I was very much like, I ain't gonna pay nobody to do this. I'm gonna do this myself. And it kept me stagnant. And so I remember after that, because it was 12 months that I was in business, I made $700, and that was from a speaking engagement. And then I was tired of paying the what is $10 or $12 fees every month because you don't have enough money in the bank account. And I closed the account. I was like, I'm done with this business. I'm gonna have to do this again when life permits, right? I started a partnership with a couple of other women. We had a chronic disease education consulting business. partnerships work, but I didn't know anything about strategic partnerships then. I just knew I wanted to do this work. I didn't want to do it by myself. Three heads were better than one, but not when three people were trying to figure it out. And ain't nobody hired a coach. Ain't nobody ever had a business before. And your work ethic is different from their work ethic. And they don't believe that marketing and advertising and thought leadership and social media and all of those things are as important as doing the work. So
Mhm.
when you get paid for something for doing a training program, oh, well, you did the social media and the blogs and all that, but you didn't actually go do the training. So your percentage is going to be a little bit different. So that did not work. Did that for about a year, year and a half as well, right? So at this point, I'm like, okay, let me just kind of fall back. Let's leave the businesses alone. I was really getting burnt out. And I think that's why I was really just pulling for something. Let me get something on my own. I know I can do this. Let me figure it out. And I got so burnt out at the health department that I took a 5 week hiatus. I took off for 5 weeks. I used all the time that I had left, and I literally probably applied for 100 jobs in that time, and God did not send me not one job. I take that back. God did not give me any of the jobs that I applied for during the 5 week period. Okay. So, right before it was time for me to go back to work, one of our grantees, which the with the Department of Texas, reached out and said, "Hey, Quisha, we're going to create a position, brand new position here at the state. Title is diabetes nurse consultant, and we want you to apply for that position." And so I was like, "Oh, he did it right before I had to go back to work." I went back to work. I did. I went back to work for 3 months. I always give a longer than necessary because I am a protector of my people, right? So I
Right.
know I'm leaving. There's this big void that's going to be filled. We've got all these 51,000 projects. And so I wanted to make sure that my people, my team were in the best position. So I gave a 3 month notice, and we relocated from Houston to Austin for me to go work as a diabetes nurse consultant with the state of Texas. And yeah, that starts the beginning of another story there. So it's kind of my trajectory of how I got started and how I got burnt out in public health really, really quickly.
That's so much gold in like everything that you just said. First, the CEO mindset. The second thing is partnerships and strategic partnerships. That is huge. You want to make sure that you are understanding like there needs to be contracts in place and you are a marketer first. I mean, you don't want to be the world's best known secret, right?
As much as I hate social media, as much as I hate to do it, that is that's the most important thing.
Exactly.
That is the business. That is the business. The business is not that you are a coach, consultant, speaker. The business is that you can market your coaching, consulting, speaking skills. Absolutely. So, understanding at that point from one failed business, and then continuing to learn and read and develop myself, I knew like we kind of got to go here. I also kept saying we need to go virtual, y'all. We got to get in the virtual. Now, this is pre-COVID, right? We
Mhm.
got to go virtual. We got to put these courses online. I'm starting to see this trend. No, we're going to stay in person. So we're going to drive all over Houston, do all these, workshop, drive here, drive here. This isn't making sense. It's not. And so anyway, you're right. But partnerships are great when they are strategic.
Right. Right.
Um, and I learned that very early, and so it's very hard for me to partner with individuals now, but I've also gotten better at identifying the right type of person to partner with.
Exactly. I love it. I love it. And another thing that you said as well was that you didn't have a coach at that time.
Yeah.
And having a coach is huge. Like
Mhm.
I had the opportunity of having a speaking coach when I first started a business or a business coach. And I said, I don't know how to do business. I need to have a business coach.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that is phenomenal. So now tell us what happened when you actually became successful with the business. Like you started another business, obviously, after that 7 months.
Obviously, I started in Umemba Health, correct, so I started third time's the charm for me. So I'm working at the state. If anybody has ever worked for the state government before, you know it is so slow that you literally could take a power nap every day. It was for me anyway. And so the state was a couple of things. One, it made me realize I don't do well with and layers of approval. I don't do well with a whole bunch of red tape and bureaucracy. When I want to get something done, I just need to snap my fingers and get it done.
Yeah.
That is like opposite of what everything the state is, right? Government, period. And also, I also got exposed to traditional consulting, right? My title was diabetes nurse consultant. One of the things, there was a couple of big initiatives, but one of the initiatives that I thought was the funnest that I was tasked in doing was consulting with organizations throughout the state of Texas, specifically those that have received our grant funding, and helping them incorporate a virtual component of their diabetes education. And
Mm.
so now, again, pre COVID, we're talking about going virtual with classes and courses pre COVID. I've been saying this for 2 years to my other partners. We got to go virtual with classes and courses. And organizations were struggling, right? Not only were they struggling because it's foreign, are patients really going to want to sign up for these? But also, when we talk about healthcare systems, it costs, right? There's HIPAA compliance, there's a whole bunch of, again, red tape and levels of approval. So they had, kind of the traditional administrative organizational barriers and constraints, but then they also had, like, we don't know what technology, we don't know how to teach in a virtual environment, we don't know, can you really do diabetes education in a virtual environment, which curriculums are best suited. Me being bored out of my mind, and frustrated because I'm like, this cannot be this hard, people. I told my husband, I said, I'm going to start another business, and it's going to be virtual diabetes education, virtual chronic disease education. So, Member Health, that's originally how we started. The first 5 months we were in business, it was completely virtual. And everything that I was learning, I would then go to work and say, these are the best platforms. These platforms are HIPAA compliant. These are the best curriculums. These are things you can do. Like everything from, oh, you can pull up insulin, draw it up. You can show people where to inject it, just things that people just were not thinking about at that time. And I was really glad that I had that head start, because then guess what happened 6 months later? Here comes COVID, March 2020, six
Mm.
months later. And now everyone has to, our favorite P word, pivot into
Mm.
the virtual space. And Quisha's been in the virtual space for the last 6 months,
I love
right?
I
Not
love
much of a following, not a whole bunch of people on my email list. At that time, it's like 40 people on my email list. But I had done so much research in preparation of, this is the trend, people. This is what's coming. Get ready. So March 2020 comes, and I say to myself, nobody is going to want to come to diabetes class this Saturday. It's apocalypse. It's Armageddon. Just about nobody is thinking about diabetes when there's no meat and sanitizer and tissue and nothing else at the grocery stores. Well, we had just got certified to train community health workers. And community health workers are frontline public health professionals that are really boots on the grounds in communities, helping navigate people to resources, helping provide education, helping them access care, and food and transportation and all of those things, making sure that they go to the doctor, get vaccinated, get tested, etc. And so I called five of my good friends and colleagues in public health and said, do you have a presentation in your given expertise that you could do, but tailor it toward community health workers? And they all said, yeah, of course. And this is like community outreach, mental health, those different types of things like this. And I said, can you have it ready in a week? Oh, okay, because they know how I roll. Okay, Quisha, yeah, we can have it ready in a week. I said, I'm doing a 5-day virtual summit, a virtual CHW summit. The theme is preparing community health workers to respond to COVID-19. COVID-19 was 2 weeks of closing. Like literally, not many people had heard of COVID-19. I mean, everybody was starting to hear about it, but nobody really knew what it was. And every day, all of the information was changing. And I just jumped on a wave, a trend at the right time. And I had a 5-day summit. And I remember telling the ladies, hey, if we have 100 people sign up, I'll be good. Like that was my goal. If 100 people signed up, that is my goal. We had almost 800 people sign up. And so my email list went from 40 people to almost 800 people in like a week's time. And my business pivoted to providing training for community health workers, to then, once I got inside of those organizations, providing consulting to those organizations on how to incorporate CHWs, how to develop policies, procedures with them, workflows, basically just how to integrate them in the clinical aspect or in your community setting, whatever type of organization that you have. And as my business grew in notoriety, somebody went and told my supervisor at the state.
Well, let's go back. Tell me how how did you get those 800 people? Like, what were some of the tactics that you did in order to get those 800 people?
So we had the virtual webinar, right? It was
Uh-huh.
all organic. And so we basically used, which my following was very small at the time because I was very um, s- social media averse, for lack of better words. But some of my speakers had large followings. And so I'm promoting every week. My speakers are promoting every week. And this is just something that people have never seen before. So they're seeing, oh, wait, this is a summit for community health workers. First of all, what's a community health worker?
Mhm.
And oh, they're telling us how to respond to COVID-19. And it was just with the latest information that we knew at that time, right? But it was all organic traffic: LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at the time. I don't have a Twitter now, which now is X, but um, and all organic traffic based on myself and my speakers and people just sharing out that information.
I love it. I mean, that's crazy to go
Crazy.
crazy. Uh, so anyway, once the people told the
Yeah,
other
yeah.
people,
So someone came told my supervisor, because this is the thing: when you work for federal government agencies, some of them, and even some corporate agencies, if you want to do outside business, side hustle, whatever, you are supposed to fill out kind of a conflict of interest document.
right?
And my thought process at the time was Joseph working Home Depot on the weekends, Mary working at Claire's in the mall on the weekend, this person working at, whatever, and they haven't filled out their paperwork. And the reason, and I knew that that was something, like I knew it was a thing, but I also knew that I was not prepared to let the state tell me no, because that basically is what the paperwork is. You say, this is what I want to do. You give them the paperwork. They can tell you, yes, you can do it, or no, you can't do it. And my thing was, I did not want to be denied the ability to do it, because what I was doing was totally different from what I was doing as a diabetes nurse consultant in my 9 to 5. Completely, totally different. However, because I did not do that, my supervisor came back and said, Quisha, this is a perceived conflict of interest. You could use your position with the state to potentially get clients, and you're going to have to not fill out the paperwork, not tell us what you do and how that. You're going to have to shut down your business, or provide us proof that you have shut down your business, or be terminated.
Wow. So
Uh-huh.
how did you take that?
I cried for 3 days. I
And
cried.
this is the goal right here. After you cried, what did your husband say? What did your husband say?
I literally was depressed. I cried for 3 days. I'm like, oh my God, I'm finally, because this is my third attempt at business. I'm finally seeing money now. I'm finally getting some traction now. And I'm like, this is what I feel like God wants me to do. I'm not happy here with the state. And my husband comes in, and I think I'm in my office, and I'm probably crying at that time. And he stands beside me and he says, aren't you a nurse? Can't you go work anywhere? And I literally have my tissue, and I'm like, oh. Because when I transitioned to public health and left the bedside, it just did not factor anymore that I'm a nurse. I can go work anywhere
Mhm,
doing just about anything.
mhm.
And the very next day, I gave them, again, I always give a longer, I gave them a 30-day notice. Um, and that was my 1 year history and experience working with the state health department.
I love it. And so once so you completely pivoted into business from
No, no,
that
no.
position.
No, 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 no. I did not. My bank account wasn't set up like that. No. So this is what I did. I am a master manifester, and I believe in the power of words. And I remember telling my husband, I said, I'm putting Umemba Health on my cover letter. I'm putting Umemba Health on my resume. I'm putting Umemba Health on my LinkedIn profile. And every time I interview with an organization, I am going to talk about my business, Umemba Health. The next job that I got was about a month later. I actually had it in that 30 days, I actually secured it. So I worked for 3 months as a RN case manager, or care manager rather, in a women's health clinic. They asked me, "Are you sure you're gonna be able to do both?" They did see a conflict of interest. It wasn't a problem. And then an organization that I currently is a client of mine, well, they've been acquired so many times, but an organization at the time called Caravan Health, which was a accountable care consulting agency, reached out to me on LinkedIn and basically said, "We want you to come do for our organization what you do for your business." And so I was a corporate trainer with Caravan Health for a couple of years. They were then acquired by Signify Health. Signify Health has now been acquired by CVS Health, and they are still a client of mine. I still work with them on training, on curriculum development. I've spoke at their conference last year, so I still do quite a bit of work with them as well. I love that position. It was very progressive, almost. It was a startup, maybe 5 or 6 years old by the time that I started working there. And so when I did leave that position, the reception was, "Quisha, we love you. We hate to see you go. Congratulations. We're glad you're striking out on your own and starting your business. But if it doesn't work, you're welcome to come back." And so I
Mm.
almost had the same reception coming in as I did leaving. I went through 4 interviews, and every interview they said, "How are you going to be able to do this and do your business?" They were never threatened by it, which is what I said in my words. I will find a job that is not threatened by the success of my business. They were never threatened by it. The way that I worked, they could see that I could handle the work that I was doing as well as maintain the growth of my business. And that's what I wanted. So I side hustled until I didn't have to side hustle anymore.
I love it. And so it wasn't your bank account was set up right at that time, so you were good with moving.
I was
Gotcha.
good, absolutely. So we implemented a 12-month exit strategy. My husband and I. He knew the way that I was growing. It was getting to where every time I would get a contract, I would have to get a subcontractor, right? And so I was making a lot of money, but I was paying a lot of money out as well. And I told him, I said, "Hey, in 12 months, I think we're going to be ready. I'm right now neck and neck with what I make with my six-figure job and what I was making in my business." I said, "So I think in another 12 months, I'm going to be ready to go." Well, I ended up leaving in the next 6 months because I ended up exceeding what I was making in my full-time job 6 months sooner.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so, so, so good. So, so good. Oh my God. I love everything that you said. So much gold in everything that you said. Number one, when you talk about the job, there was, no competition, right? When it comes to, people just in general, just we are going towards the same goal. There
Yeah.
is really no competition. There's
Yeah.
enough money out there, right?
I always say it's enough money in these public health streets. It's enough for
Exactly.
everybody. Yeah.
Exactly. And then, you said that you had that 12-month exit strategy. And that's kind of what I did too, as well, in order to be able to actually, mine was about 6 months, like yours was, right? Because once you understand how to move the business, and like literally things change on a dime. It's
Right. And I was like you when it comes to business coaches. The day that I secured, so I got my DBA 3 months before I actually incorporated my LLC. The day I got my DBA, the reason I couldn't afford to incorporate my LLC is because I hired a business coach. I've just celebrated 4 years in business. I've had four business coaches. So my coach now is a media coach because, like you said, now I need to get into this space. I need somebody to show me how to get into this space. For me, I don't think I would have been able to leave my job as soon as I did if I did not have that guidance. And so every year that I've been in business, I've had a business coach. I don't know if that's going to change.
mm-mm,
I'm not interested in it changing as of right now. Maybe year 10, maybe. I don't know. But I will credit that with a lot of success in some of the decisions I've made and why I've been able to be successful with this business where I wasn't with the two previous businesses.
that's right. It shortens the time. It just shortens the time from here to here. And time is more important than money, for sure.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So I absolutely have loved this conversation. You are phenomenal. I have always known that from the gate, from the first time I spoke with you. And so I'm super excited for all that you have going on. So tell the people where to find you.
Where you can find me? Well, if you are interested in public health workforce development, please visit umembahealth.com to find out about our courses, our trainings, our consulting services. We do some of everything. And you can find us at Umemba Health on all social platforms as well. But if you are what I call a helping professional, nurse, doctor, public health, social worker, CHW, and you are interested in starting your own profitable public health consulting business using a step by step system meaning save yourself time and money, then please visit my website, QuishaUmemba.com. And I'm also Quisha Umemba on all social media platforms as well.
Well, again, I ask that you like and share this podcast. We have a master class that's coming up January 16th, it's next Tuesday. So I look forward to seeing you guys there. And thank you, Quisha, for gracing our stage today. You are
Thank you
amazing.
so much for having me. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Appreciate you too.